grew up running on all fours. He changed the bone structure.
Do you swing on things inside, like when you go upstairs?
Oh, I never take the stairs. I usually take the curtains.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Travers and welcome to Popcorn. You can see that we have popcorn here where we tell you what's happening at the movies. And there's a summer movie now called The Legend of Tarzan, which is about Tarzan. It stars my buddy Alexander Skarsgard. I was doing some research. There's 200 plus movies that have Tarzan in the title.
Yeah.
So what happens to you when you think I'm going to be 201?
Well, I knew that it was Warner Brothers, great studio, obviously. I knew that David Yates was going to direct it, an incredible director. I did
what, the last four Harry Potter?
The last four Harry Potter films, and done some amazing stuff for British television. That's very different, very character-driven, very intimate. So I knew that this is a director that not only will he get the scope and make something big and fun, but he genuinely cares about the psychology of it, and that's the dream when you can find a big tentpole movie that has that kind of depth. So I was quite curious to see how they would approach it, and then I got the script, and the movie opens with not the me Tarzan, you Jane character. It's quite different and quite surprising. It opens with this very sophisticated man who is acclimated to life in London. He's already been in London for almost a decade with his wife, Jane, played by Margot Robbie. I thought Adam Kozad, who wrote the script, had found such an interesting take on it and such an interesting way into the character, because the first scene is him drinking tea with the Prime Minister, and I thought it was brilliant. And then the journey is him kind of going back to his roots. He returns to the Congo where he was born and raised, and then meets his ape family and is reintroduced to his natural habitat, the jungle.
Well, I love how Jane goes with you, though, too. I love what's happening and the way that's played by Margot Robbie. There's a sense of a contemporary woman in what she's doing.
Yeah, she convinces him to go. Yeah. He doesn't want to go.
Because Christoph Waltz is there, and that's never a good thing.
Never a good.
He's always
be trouble. That guy's
things.
trouble.
He really is.
Yeah.
You know? Did he slap you around on set? Was it really difficult with him?
Yeah, he's incredibly difficult. I don't know if you met him.
I have.
Such a difficult guy.
Yeah, the true gentleman.
Yeah. No, working with Christoph is what a dream. Yeah. What an incredible actor. Jane convinces John to return.
John being, John Clayton.
John Clayton, Lord Greystoke or Tarzan, to go back. She misses it as well. They met in the jungle, obviously, and again, this is told in flashbacks as them as teenagers, how they met and how they fell in love. So her dad was a professor, and so she spent her teenage years in Africa with the Kuba people in their village, and she misses it as well. So she wants to go back, and reluctantly John agrees, and they go back, and then very early on, once they get there, they're separated. And Christoph's character Rum takes Jane, and what we try to accomplish was the fact that they need each other. It felt a bit too archaic had it been the damsel in distress or Tarzan saving Jane.
She even used that word at one point.
In the movie,
me to be a damsel.
And when you have Margot, you're not going to get that because she's so strong and tough and independent, and it's just what qualities that you need in a modern Jane. And it makes it psychologically more interesting if you can feel that he's lost without her and he needs her. She's kind of his pillar in a way.
So what did you have to do to prepare to do this? You're in pretty good shape all the time, I'm guessing, unless you go on one of those binges back home in Sweden.
I go on binges, right.
Right.
Go crazy. No, it was a long process and about 8 months of training and a very strict diet.
What can't you eat?
Well, now I eat whatever I want.
Yeah, I can see you just falling apart.
Yeah,
right.
But for the movie, it was a very strict diet. No sugar, no dairy products. no alcohol, 6 small meals a day, so every 3 hours on the dot. So I would
For
spend,
protein, what is that?
yeah, smoked fish, a lot of fish, chicken, steak. Fat was fine, but I think they definitely avoid. I wasn't even allowed fruit, so no sugar at all, and it drove me a bit crazy.
Well, what was the last scene you shot for Tarzan then?
That would have been, I'll definitely remember it because we were on a sound stage. It was a little pickup shot, and then they dropped this curtain they had behind me, and they had on a table an ice cold beer, a pint of lager, and a massive banoffee pie. That's this English caramel banana cream pie.
Nice. I'm happy for you.
Oh my God. It was
Bring it on.
incredible.
Make it
Yeah,
happen.
it was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, so I pretty much ate the whole thing, drank the beer, got in
Then
the car.
got violently ill.
And no, I was just, I thought I would.
like him,
I don't care,
yeah.
but I felt amazing. And my dad was shooting this miniseries called River in London at the time, and he loves to cook. So I went, he was renting a house in East London, so I went straight from set after eating this whole banoffee pie to my dad's house and spent 4 days on his couch just being fed. He would just cook pasta.
And then you were
give me
violently
bone marrow.
ill. What can happen after having nothing?
Drank wine, huh?
What happens to you physically when you spend 4 days just?
I was on a high. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
I
bet.
thought I would get physically sick. Having going 8 months with no sugar, no dairy, nothing, and then just. It wasn't a nice
Oh,
transition.
yeah.
I went hard, deep off the wagon there.
It sounds like it.
It was delicious, and I felt fine. I felt great.
I bet you did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I really did.
We were talking before the show started. I talked about the scene of you with the lioness.
Yeah.
And how moving I thought that was. Because
Oh.
you're down on the ground and you're making this and
Yeah.
nuzzling. But that's not happening, is it? Not only were no animals harmed during the making of The Legend of Tarzan.
No animals were filmed.
They were
during
not,
the
they
making.
were not filmed.
Yeah.
So you're just playing with shadows? What's happening?
That scene was actually a 25-year-old breakdancer from London, a guy who was wearing a gray pajamas. And so we basically met on set, shook hands, and then went down on all fours and started
Nuzzling
each other.
Mhm. Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way, those moments. There's another moment where John meets an elephant that he's known since he was a little kid, and there's this beautiful moment when the elephants come out. It's at night, and John is with George, Sam's character, and these elephants come out, and there's an emotional connection. He's like, "Oh, my old friend," and they were more difficult to shoot than the fight sequences, in a way, because the fight sequences are very technical and choreographed, and I fought stuntmen in bodysuits. But the emotional stuff was tough because it was basically a tennis ball on a C-stand, and I had to pretend that this tennis ball was like an old, beautiful elephant that I've known since I was a little child, and so that was quite interesting when you were standing there like, oh, my old friend.
My old friend.
The tennis ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I remember you
Yeah.
when that happened.
So
But
good
this
to see
is
you
the
again.
new world. This
Yeah.
is this new world. I mean, I heard the only person that hurt you in any way was Margot.
Yeah.
What did
During
she
the
do
love
to you?
scene. Yeah.
During the love scene, she slapped you around?
Yeah, it's a very traumatic experience, so I'm not sure I can talk about it. It was
Really,
tough.
it's just
She
too
really
much.
Yeah. No, David Yates, our director, wanted when we shot the first love scene, he wanted it to be primal. He's like, it's Tarzan and Jane having sex, like these two iconic characters, and it has to be primal and wild. And so he was kind of egging her on behind the camera, so like screaming out, "Margot, claw him, punch him, beat him, scratch him." So I walked away with a few bruises.
And she had no problem doing that, did she? She almost hit me with this when she was here.
Margot's very physical, yeah.
She's Australian in
Yeah.
the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't mess around with
No.
her. No.
Definitely not.
At
So
your,
she went for it. Yeah.
At your peril.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
did that. So
yeah.
not harmed by any of that. Did you look at, or had you already grown up seeing any Tarzan movies?
Oh yeah, I was a huge
Who were your
fan.
Tarzans?
Johnny Weissmuller. introduced to me by my father, who was he's the biggest Tarzan fan.
Is he?
Yeah.
Stellan is just a man for Tarzan.
He grew up. Every Saturday, he would go to the matinee in the local theater in Sweden and watch the old Johnny Weissmuller movies. Mm-hmm. So he was probably more excited about this when I got the job than I was.
Did he give you any tips?
No, I mean, being an actor himself, he was very aware of the fact that Johnny Weissmuller is such an iconic Tarzan that it's basically just don't try to mimic that, and you know stay away from all that, but and find your own character and find your Tarzan.
Then you also have to say, do I wear a loincloth?
Yeah.
You don't.
No.
Where are those decisions made? Really early in the proceedings? This is how you're going to look?
Yeah. I mean, it was very clear reading the script and knowing the journey that the character is on, that a loincloth wouldn't make sense. We wanted all the flashback stuff to him as a kid. He's naked. Because before he's introduced to humans, it wouldn't make sense for him to wear clothes, obviously.
Yeah, the apes aren't really saying, put something on.
They're like, please cover up. Like, this is, when he returns to the jungle, he is still in his Victorian British safari outfit. And then very slowly these layers come off. And it's, emotionally and literally, layers come off when he's on this adventure with George Washington Sam's character in the jungle.
Tarzan's so basically mean to him. He's always saying, can't you keep up? You've got to do
this.
That
was how, we had so much fun exploring that.
Yeah.
And to play that weird friendship, or let that friendship develop in a way where they're stuck together. And those are always the best, buddy movies where they're stuck together and they don't really like each other and they rub each other the wrong way, and then slowly there's this friendship builds. And finding that with Sam was incredible.
So is it all happening the way you want it to happen if you had a career plan? Last time you were here, we talked about you growing up in Sweden.
Yeah.
Having basically to come here and just learn this whole, I remember you first in the immortal role of Mikas in Zoolander. It was
Thank
immortal.
You, sir.
It was to see you now in that part. You don't look at that guy and say, "That's my Tarzan."
It's not?
No. And luckily, you just blew up in a giant gasoline explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to come back for the sequel.
You
though.
did, but not
1 second. I'm in it for 1 second. Play Adam in the Garden of Eden. It was a lot of fun to do that. That was my first job out here, Zoolander. And
you keep mixing it up,
yeah,
which I really admire in what you're doing. You make an independent movie that is 1/100th of 1% of the budget of The Legend of Tarzan.
Yeah.
But especially when you did Diary of a Teenage Girl, I thought that was risky, and it paid off.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So do you get a kick out of that, of mixing it up?
Oh,
and
yes.
Not letting them say this is the box you should be in?
No, and that was such a little... such a nugget. It was incredible, that whole experience on Diary, working with Mari, who was, and that was a project. The budget of Diary was 1/10 of the catering budget on Tarzan, probably. So it was tiny, and I was sent the script, or given the script, by my neighbor who knows Mari. She's a first-time filmmaker, hadn't done anything before, and my neighbor basically said, my friend wrote a script, and I think it's pretty good. Do you want to read it?
You should be in it, yeah.
And I read it, and I was blown away by it. It was such a beautiful story. I met Mari and just fell in love with her and her passion. And
she has all of that.
She's incredible.
And yet you're playing this guy who's living with Kristen Wiig, who's having an affair with her teenage daughter. Yeah. We could hate you. We could want to string you
But that made it interesting to me as well, because I felt... those are always the components. Do you get excited about the script? You meet the filmmaker. Is this a collaboration that you're like, I want to work like this with this person for, not like this, I guess, for, however many months. And also the character, obviously, is there something in it that you get excited about? And with Monroe, it was so interesting. I felt it's so dark, and it's so easy to hate this guy. Again, he's 35 years old. He has an affair with his girlfriend's daughter. And I thought, well, is there any way, without condoning what he does, can you make this interesting and can you make this conflicted and where the audience wants to hate him, but maybe you can find a moment where their connection is real and beautiful and you can get the audience to almost root for them to be together. And like that's when you make it, you find it, it gets interesting.
All right, well, you know that we end in song. Now, last time I begged you for something in Swedish, and you did something that played during sporting events.
Yeah, Hammarby games.
Of course, that's exactly what it was.
My team from South Africa. Yeah.
Right. What do you have in you now?
Is it okay to swear?
It's perfect to do.
Okay, because
in Swedish.
This is in English.
In English, yeah.
It's my favorite new band,
Really?
NAF. Nice as.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Jenny Lewis is?
I do.
It's her new band.
Yeah.
With three badass women in this band. You should check them out. They've just started.
Everybody, you hear that.
It's an incredible band.
So give us that taste.
All right, so this is how they end their show. We're nice as wish you good luck. That's it.
I think Tarzan was singing that in the jungle and we just didn't know. No, that's what happened. Alex, thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Always a pleasure.
It is.